So I'm making this video to address an unfortunate incident that we recently had while flying with Qatar Airlines. So me and my husband had decided that we were going to fly to Dubai on March 1st. So we had everything in line, our insurance, our COVID tests, our visas, our bags packed. We had everything in line. And so you know that if you're flying anywhere, basically now, you have to do a COVID test 48 hours before you fly. So our flight was on March 1st, which was Tuesday at 8:45. So that meant that, now you have to take your test 48 hours before. So we went Sunday to go get our test done in Nigeria. And we got our test done at 11:45 a.m. So that way, when we flew on Tuesday at 8:45, we would be within that 48-hour time frame. So we got our bags packed. We did everything we needed to do. We were super excited to be flying out. We even had on matching outfits. So when we got to the airport, and we had all of these bags because, we don't pack light. There was a man that was standing around the Qatar Airlines and signaled us down because we had so many bags. And so he came to us, was like, listen, if you fly with those bags, they're going to charge you. So what you need to do is allow me to help you. So we went to him trusting that he would be, an upstanding citizen and that he worked for the airlines, that he would help us. So we went to him. He moved all our baggage around, made everything seem so wonderful for us. So we were super excited. We had all our bags now were condensed to where it needed to be under the weight of 32 kg. And then also he actually had us get another bag so that we can have some bags go through cargo, because that way it wouldn't cost us much. So we did everything we needed to do. We were super excited to just, get our bags checked, get ready to get on the flight. And so when we went through the checkpoint, we had all of our paperwork, our return tickets, we had our visas, we had our health insurance, we had our hotel reservation, we had everything we need. And we even had our COVID test, which on the top, because we know what's important when you fly. And we know that COVID is a very serious situation, especially when you're flying international. So we had all our paperwork. They did a check through us. They checked us through. We did all the scanning. And then we noticed that the guy who took us through checking our luggage, had a conversation with the guy who was checking us through with our COVID tests and our visas and all of that. So we thought that he was basically saying, take care of them and make sure that everything is done. So when we got to the next step after taking your COVID test, they scan your passport, scan your visa, make sure that you're clear to go. But at that point, the guy doubled back and said, hey, let me see your COVID test. So we were like, okay, here you go, look at it again. He was like, oh, it's expired. And we were like, how was it expired? They said on the airlines and on the website that you had to have a COVID test 48 hours before. Now, mind you, our flight was at 8:45 a.m., right? So if we did a COVID test 48 hours before, that meant that it would have to be within that time of 8:45. We took our COVID test, remember I said on Sunday, right? At 11:45, so that we can fly on Tuesday at 8:45, because we really got our results of the COVID test, which was negative, the day before, which was Monday. So the guy said, your test is expired. And we were like, how is our test expired? So, we went to his supervisor. His supervisor said, oh, if it's expired, it's expired. And we were trying to figure out how was it expired and what could we do? So we called the lab. We asked the lab, can you contact the airlines? Can you help us? The lab said, there's nothing we can do. We can't change the time. They said it's expired. It's expired. And we were like, but it's not expired because it's within that 48-hour time frame, right? So listen, this is where it gets tricky. The guy who had helped us with the bags, who had signaled and actually helped us to go ahead of everybody to get our COVID test and get our visas, get everything handled, he said, okay, well, if they said it's expired, I have someone that can help you. Well, right on the other side of the check-in, there was a guy that came up to us and said, listen, if you want to fly, because the manager said it was expired, everybody said it was expired, which it wasn't. They said, hey, we can make you a COVID test, right? Make us a COVID test. How can you make a COVID test, right? So there was somebody standing on the other side of Qatar Airlines to check in, came up to us, charged us, because mind you, to take a COVID test, it costs 45,000 naira, right? You do the math. So the guy said, hey, I can make you another COVID test for 30,000. And we were like, but it's going to be fraudulent. How are they going to be going through? If they scan the PCR code, or if they, the QR code is not going to show a valid test. He was like, don't worry, I got you. So we were like, okay, well, we paid for a test. And the airlines are telling us that we need to get this additional fraudulent paperwork. So we were like, okay, we basically did not want to pay for it, but we were going to miss our flights. And everybody that was working around in the Qatar area encouraged us to get this test. So we paid $60K for a fraudulent test to go along with the original test that we had. And they actually tried to take our original test from us so that we wouldn't have a copy of both, but I kept both. So basically, to make a long story short, Qatar Airlines basically extorted money, and they worked with hustlers that are there to tell people they target certain people. Of course, I'm American, so they're going to target me, especially in Nigeria. They're going to tax you and they're going to target you. So they targeted us, basically racial profiling, and made us pay for a fraudulent COVID test. Now, granted, this was all happening in the airport, so hopefully they have cameras right in front of. It wasn't on the side. It wasn't, like a whole sneak, hush thing. It was flat out. So the guy charged us the money, $60K, gave us the fraudulent test. Then we took it back to the same guy. Now, mind you, he's seen our original test. We took the fraudulent test back to the same guy, and guess what? He let us get on the flight. So after we went through all of this issue, all of this wahala, as we were getting ready to go through the checkpoint, I noticed that the guy who had approved our fraudulent COVID test, who had denied our real COVID test, signaled to the other guy who was working with our luggage as if he held his phone up as if he got the deposit. So we were like, wait a minute, they just played us. So when we went through, we had to go through a lot of checks and go through a lot of stuff. And when we went to the last checkpoint, the guy who had first said that our COVID test was expired and had accepted our fraudulent COVID test said to my husband, hey, boss. Now, in Nigeria, if they call you, hey, boss, that's because you put some money in their pocket. So to make a long story short, I just want you guys to know, do not fly Qatar Airlines in Nigeria because they are shady, they crooked, and they on some bullshit. Qatar, you really need to investigate who was working March 1st, that morning flight. There was a young Nigerian man. There were two Nigerians, but there was one that was younger that was working there. And he was the one that was a part of the extortion. Basically, what they're doing is they're telling people that their COVID test is expired so that someone nearby can make a fake COVID test and that they all can make money from that passenger. So basically, Qatar Airlines have employees that are actually scamming people and actually creating fake COVID tests, fake negative COVID tests so that people can fly. So basically, if a person doesn't have a COVID test, they could just go to the airlines or they could just go to the airport and get a fake COVID test and fly. Whether they have COVID or not, who knows? So basically, this message is to call out Qatar Airlines at Lagos Airport because the employees are crooked. They made us come out of money that we really didn't have to come out of, and they're creating fake COVID tests. So if I was you, I wouldn't fly Qatar Airlines. And Qatar Airlines, you have 48 hours to reply because y'all employees are shady as hell. Thank you.